Before we get started, thank you to Rachel, who supported us at patreon.com/dailydetroit. Remember that independent media requires your support to keep going, so thank you very much. Hello, friends. It's Jer with your Daily Detroit for Wednesday, June 15th, 2022. I hope you're staying cool today. We're talking about the East Side on today's episode, specifically the East Warren area. Near the Elger Theater, it's a part of town with a lot of memories for the younger me, some long gone, whether it's Arbor drugs to fill prescriptions or then going to one of my uncle's favorites, Point Barbecue for dinner. Ironically, not actually in the Points. Anyway, there are definitely things happening now that you should check out. The East Warren Business Corridor needs your support, and the city hasn't been able to touch the infrastructure there for improvements in quite a while. But that's changing with the new streetscape project underway, and that's the focus of our conversation. Let's get started. Joining me virtually, Alan Penniman, East Region Design Director for Detroit's Planning and Development Department. Thank you so much for your time on Daily Detroit. I appreciate you joining me.
It's my pleasure. Happy to be here.
Of course. So people who are longtime listeners of the show know that I love the East Side. It's near and dear to my heart. In fact, I used to do CB radio patrols in the area that we're talking about here today. And this is basically on East Warren. There's this idea of a streetscape. It is kicking off. It is a real project moving forward. Alan, can we kind of get a thumbnail sketch of, why is this project happening now? And then we can get into the details of what's happening and how that ties into the bigger picture.
Yeah, we just broke ground on this East Warren streetscape, which will span Morningside, East English Village, and Cornerstone Village. It's happening now because after more than a year of engaging with the community and designing it together, we finally came to a design, found funding for it, and now it's ready to become reality.
So what are some of the highlights? One of the things that I noticed is a new Coralville Plaza.
Yeah, we're really excited about the Coralville Plaza. We're actually calling it a parking plaza. The goal really is to balance the reality that a lot of folks arrive to shop by car with the desire to make East Warren safer to walk, to bike, to cross the street. What it is on a normal day is simply a well-landscaped parking lot, but it's designed so that on an event day, such as, let's say you want to do a farmer's market, for example, it then becomes a plaza with festooned lighting. It's sort of leveled with nice, like hardscape material, so it's not just asphalt, it's a really nice material. So yeah, it's a plaza on special days, and it's a parking lot serving businesses on a regular day.
So what are some of the features of that or some other areas of this project that you're excited about?
I'm really excited to kind of restore the heyday of East Warren, if you will. We had meetings and walking tours with residents, and we heard a lot of desire to get back to the time where you could do your shopping in your neighborhood, or fill a prescription, go on a date with your partner, something like that. So we're really trying to get back to that. One of the major features of the streetscape design that enables that to happen is well-designed, well-maintained sidewalks with good lighting, street trees. So when it gets really hot, like it's going to be this week, you're shaded and you're not, sweating through your shirt. And again, striking a balance between motorist desires to get through in the park with the ability to, just walk around and hang out and want to spend time on the corridor.
Are you finding as you're doing work in the city that having to balance those needs, are you finding success with that? Is that something that you're able to kind of hit that target?
Yeah, I think this is a great example of it. I mentioned that we kind of batted around several alternative designs before we settled on the one that's being built now. And in those conversations, it was exactly that. It's, okay, we want to make sure that the parking lane is wide enough so people feel safe when they get out of their vehicle. Make sure the bike lane is the right size, all those sorts of details. But so one of the affirmations that I think we're getting it right is we actually held a vote on this design, and it was nearly unanimous. I think the figure was something like 78-3 favored this design. So what that tells me is that, all of that listening and co-designing, resulted in something that does strike a balance that people want to see.
So for the uninitiated, what's the scope of this project? It kind of runs from where to where?
Sure. So it will go from 3 Mile Drive to Cadieux. So it's about half a mile. And just a note on that too, in one of our early concepts, budget is always a challenge. And we came to the community with one design that was much shorter. And we got a lot of pushback. The community said, I'm sorry, that's not good enough. And so we were able to stretch it to from 3 Mile to Cadieux by changing the design and sort of just thinking smarter about it. That was another way that we're really trying to respond to the desire to do as much streetscape for as much of the neighborhood as we could.
And what kind of opportunities is that going to open up for the businesses and such? I mean, looking at these renderings, and I will link to some of them in the show notes, it is very much more of a complete street than what I see now. Like when I go there, I see what could be. And, I have some friends who like do things over there and I'm there pretty often. But this seems to really make it kind of, forgive the metaphor, but turn a corner.
Absolutely. The streetscape is only one strategy in the revitalization of these neighborhoods. And commercial, active retail and commercial spaces are another big component. So the streetscape is designed to facilitate retail activity, walking on the sidewalk. But at the same time, we're also investing in local businesses along the corridor. We have at least 4 commercial mixed-use projects in the pipeline. We're partnering with local developers. When I say local, I mean, in one case, a resident of the neighborhood purchased a building in her neighborhood that she wanted to fix up. And what you're going to see is more affordable housing in this walkable main street that is East Warren, as well as retail businesses that are curated to serve local needs.
So really, this is part of a greater vision. And, I saw the word strategic neighborhood framework in the materials. For the uninitiated, how does that tie together?
Strategic neighborhood framework, what that is a comprehensive strategy to restore Detroit neighborhoods, their past strength and past vitality. It's intentionally focused on neighborhoods. Not that greater downtown isn't important, but SNF is focused on neighborhoods. There have been 2 rounds so far, 10 neighborhoods total. And the East Warren Cadieux framework is one of those 10. And the streetscape is sort of the, I don't say the gem, but it's, one of the first projects out of the gate. And as I mentioned earlier, will really facilitate the other investments, which include these commercial projects, as well as remediating blights, restoring single-family homes in the neighborhood. And we're also investing in some upgrades in Bulldog Park, which is just a little bit further down on East Warren.
Yeah, I want to touch on Bulldog Park in a second, but I do want to mention for listeners, I personally believe that commercial corridor doesn't show how nice those neighborhoods are once you turn left or right off of Warren. There's some amazing housing stock, some great neighbors, some people who are really doing amazing things in that area of Detroit. And I know that, you go down the commercial block now and you think, well, but it's worth it to turn right or turn left and see how many of these residents have been putting so much into their homes in this area. I just wanted to make sure to call that out and know that those residents, I think they're getting something that they truly deserve because how much they've been putting into that area.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that you've touched on that, I think it's important to shout out folks like Linda Smith, Bill Barledge, Joe Rashid, and I'm forgetting names, but there are a number of very committed neighborhood residents who are doing exactly what you said, making sure that the neighborhood is maintained, stays strong, advocating, with folks at the city to, bring resources to bear to make these neighborhoods the best version of themselves.
For sure. We mentioned Bulldog Park. I know it's a place that's near and dear to a lot of people. What can you share about that?
So Bulldog Park is, another component of the strategic neighborhood framework. So with help from the General Services Department, which designs and manages the city's parks, we similarly had, lots of rounds of engagement to hear from residents how they like to use the park, what improvements they like to see. Some recurring themes we heard is there are very few pathways in the park. So even simple things like just, providing a concrete pathway that really helps out our elders and, our neighbors with limited mobility. Of course, the sledding hill is a huge attraction there. And, the stairs getting up to the hill could use some improvement. So in a lot of cases, there's small interventions like that, but they make a really big difference, in who can access to the park and just the ease of use in it. That's something that's really exciting, and we're working on finalizing those designs right now and hoping to break ground on that later this year.
So looping back to the streetscape project, what is our approximate timeline on this and the budgetary thoughts? How much is it going to cost?
So we just broke ground officially a week ago, so the last Monday. And we anticipate having construction wrapped up by spring of next year. So you'll see some managed construction over the fall. And I should just note there's been a lot of coordination with abutting businesses to make sure that businesses have signage saying that they're open. There's even a grant program available and weekly construction updates to help mitigate the impact of that construction. So that will be happening for the rest of this year. And then in the spring, you'll see some lighter touches, such as planting trees, some finishing work. The overall budget is $8.2 million, which I think is in line with some of the other streetscapes, and hopefully a nice balance given that we're able to go all the way from 3 Mile to Cadieux.
And before I let you go, there's a couple other similar projects in the city going on right now, right?
That's right. We have several neighborhood frameworks very similar to East Warren, and we also have some specific streetscape projects as well. So you might have saw, the mayor announced recently the next round of streetscape investments. So definitely be looking out for similar type of projects, East Side and West Side, as this second round of SNF wraps up, and then all this planning work comes to fruition in the form of built projects that we can actually see and enjoy.
Well, I'm looking forward to checking all this stuff out, and I know that I will be that person kind of pokily looking through going, okay, where are we at with all this stuff over the rest of this year and into the spring. Alan Penniman, the East Region Design Director for Detroit's Planning and Development Department, thank you so much for your time on Daily Detroit. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Couple of quick housekeeping bits. One, to be sure to share the podcast with a friend. Word of mouth is the best way we found to grow the show. Two, remember that Monday is the day we honor the holiday of Juneteenth with a federal observance, and the actual day is Sunday. So in our newsletter at dailydetroit.substack.com, I've highlighted a couple events for you to check out. That also means, since it's a federal holiday, there will be no show on Monday. But we will be back tomorrow and Friday, and I can't wait to have you with us. I'm Jared Stays. Remember that you are somebody, and I'll see you around Detroit.